is Kay, and today I am going to be talking to you guys about gentrification in Birmingham, Alabama. And honestly, Birmingham is like the perfect example of how revitalization can turn into a quiet displacement. So, picture this downtown Birmingham, early 2000s. There's a huge public housing community called Metropolitan Gardens. This is a picture of them in 1983. I know it's not the right picture, but I just want you to get an idea of what it looked like. Metropolitan Gardens was over 900 units and home to hundreds of black families. Then, the city gets a Hope 6 federal grant to revitalize it. Sounds good, right? Actually, here's what happened. I have a few notes that I'm going to read just to make it a little bit easier. Hope 6 means the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, program that ran from 1993 to 2010. And then it goes on to say to revitalize severely distressed public housing by funding grants for revitalization and demolition. These grants allowed public housing authorities to demolish, reconfigure, or replace old public housing with mixed income communities and also provide for social services to help residents become self-sufficient. In other words, they tore the whole thing down and replaced it with a new mixed income complex called Park Place. But out of the 500 units, only 350 of them came back and only 115 of them were affordable. This means like around 570 units just disappeared. And out of all those original families, only 60 of them were allowed to return. The rest of them forced to scatter around the city, to find new lives, to find new schools, and to find affordable housing. That's roughly 1,400 people displaced off of one single project. And this isn't some isolated story from 20 years ago either. These scales are from 2020, but I want to move a little bit fast forward to 2022. Because in 2022, a housing justice report found that 1 in 5 Birmingham residents in the city's urban core said that they've been directly affected by gentrification. Rising rents, losing their homes, watching their communities get priced out. Neighborhoods like Avondale, Woodlawn, Fountain Heights, and Southside all seeing trendy cafes, breweries, and new apartments. But behind that revival is a quiet exodus of the people who built those neighborhoods in the first place. Here's the kicker. There's no official number of how many people in Birmingham have been displaced through gentrification. City records don't track that. But researchers mapping demographic change have shown as the property values climb, lower income and black residents are leaving at alarming rates. So yeah, you can call it urban renewal, but in practice it's just displacement with better PR. Just like somber should have had, but hey. What we're seeing in Birmingham is a warning to every growing city. If you don't protect affordable housing, revitalization just doesn't fix neighborhoods. It replaces them. But here's the thing, revitalized for what? Or for who? Because when rent rises and the developers move in, these families just don't lose homes, they lose roots. It's like dropping a bomb on a community's sense of belonging. They're not the ones benefiting with this type of growth. Now years later, you have new apartments and new rooftop bars where all these homes used to be. Even the Institute for Policy Study found that 1 in 5 residents in urban core say that they've been directly affected by gentrification. And it doesn't just mean moving. It feels like your neighborhood isn't yours anymore. But here's where it starts to get interesting. Providence, Rhode Island. Providence has roughly around the same population as Birmingham, but they're doing something that we aren't. Protecting residents before they get pushed out. They pass inclusionary zoning, which means new housing projects have to include affordable units. They made landlords register every rental property so the city can track who's buying houses and who's raising rent. They even banned rent setting algorithms. Yeah, those AI tools that jack rent up like automatically. They're turning old commercial buildings into apartments to boost housing supply without demolishing neighborhoods. In other words, they didn't wait for displacement to happen. They mapped where it was likely to hit hardest and acted before people could get even priced out. Meanwhile, Avondale, Woodlawn, and Fountain Heights are turning into these next hotspots. Breweries and Airbnbs are popping up, but the families who lived there for generations won't get a chance. The city's growth is literally being built on people's absence. So yeah, Providence proves there's another way. You can grow without erasing the people who made your city worth saving in the first place. If Birmingham wants to call itself revitalized, it has to ask, revitalized for who? Because right now, it looks a whole lot more like replacement than renewal. And here are some lovely examples. This is off University Boulevard, this is 23rd Street South, and wow, wouldn't you look at that? Brand new apartments that nobody asked for. This is probably like one of my favorite videos about gentrification because you take a look at this about how Brooklyn was before gentrification, and then it just kind of goes to this. if we truly are the generation of change, then we should be out there acting. Luke, do you have anything to say for the people? I guess not.